You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to the Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and... she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat basement, average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
It's been a long, bumpy ride sitting back in the saddle. It's time to get down, dirty up our knees in the battle. Oh, come on, round up the boys, gonna make the walls rattle. Oh, our flag is tattered and our bones are shattered, but it doesn't matter 'cause we're moving forward. Round them up, let's go. Round them up, let's go.
And good evening. You have reached Cyber Wars, and I think we are at about DEFCON 2 at this point. Things have gotten really interesting, but not as interesting as I thought they were going to be. Maybe we're at DEFCON 3. I expected to be at DEFCON 1. But before we go there, hello, Orty. Hello, Stoner.
I'm at DEFCON 5. I'm just chill.
You're chill. You're always chill.
I'm at DEFCON Long Island. I'm good.
Okay, well, that might be about DEFCON 4. Depends on how many Long Islands it's been.
I'm still on the first one.
Okay, well, so you start out at DEFCON 3. And yep. Long Island number 1 gets you to DEFCON 4. And then, you get a couple in, and you'll be at DEFCON 5. You'll be at
Yes.
DEF CON 5 in no time.
That's the plan.
Yeah, we're really glad you guys joined us again tonight. Hey, y'all in the chat. And we have got a lot to talk about. So I actually had to put it in order so I don't get confused and forget things.
Yeah, we had to do a flow chart tonight because it's it's not just our usual focusing on an APT or two and some side stories. This is a lot happening this week.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, and there are things that happening that either relate to a show that we've done before, or relate to an APT that we've talked about before, or the media and the security community confirmed. And this is our first story. So according to the news, the security community has confirmed actually a couple of things that we've talked about on this show, but number one, that the Iranian hackers that are defacing all these little sites around the country are pretty much the Skid Crew. That they are the Pop Warner team, because we put the Iranian teams kind of in a sports analogy, and we did junior varsity and varsity, and we decided these guys are pretty much Pop Warner. They're like the little kids running around with the big huge helmets that are flopping around on their head because they're way too big for them. That's who these guys are a little bit, and the security community tends to agree with us. What do you guys think about that story?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that they listen to us and they confirm our suspicions that these were just unskilled script kiddies doing their, copy and paste stuff that they could get off of a GitHub or Pastebin.
And shout out to Carolyn Pohl, who must have been listening to our show because of her comment. Which first time I read it, I about died because it sounded like something we would say. And it's like her quote was, if they were really trying to do something, they'd try to hack something more protected. I would guess this is like a startup guy in the business.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. And they talked to the one guy, and he was like, "I never checked my site." He didn't even know his site was hacked because it was like a dentist in California or something. Didn't even know his site was hacked. He was like, "Well, I never check it." So, and he laughed about it.
Right. And it was like we were talking about the FLDP, the Federal Library Depository Program. This wasn't even the first time they were hacked. They were hacked back in 2012 by the Turkey cyber pirates.
Right.
So I mean, it's like they're the doorknob of government sites to get hacked. It may even be a honeypot or bait.
It very well could be because they are the go-to site for Middle Eastern skids. They are. It's like the first place that they go to hack, and they're like, "We defaced a .gov site. Woohoo! We're bad." No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Actually, probably they just got all your proxies. But good job.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're basically just hacking. They're hacking PHP and WordPress sites. They're not even. I mean, they may be able to get the Obamacare site. But
who can't, right? They can get in the DNC. I'm sure they can get it. Well, they could probably have gotten in the DNC back in the day, right? I don't know about anymore. Something makes me think they might be a little bit more hardened than they used to be. Yeah, you would hope so, right? I would certainly hope so. Who knows though? But the funny thing about that was, the hackers tried to hack the RNC as well, but were unsuccessful. That right there is enough to tell me who I want running my government. I'm sorry, I'm biased, but one got hacked and one didn't, and the same group tried to hack both. I'm going to vote for the people that didn't get hacked. Right. It's just that simple with me. I mean, it has nothing to do with politics. If they both did and said, which they pretty much did and said and enacted the same laws, supported the same things, that one thing would decide my vote.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing that the news was kind enough to well, we have one other story before we were going to get into that. I have to follow the flow chart, right? Because That's how
it would be helpful.
Yeah, that's how geeks do things anyway, right?
Some of us had a rough day, so yes, please follow the flow chart.
Exactly. Wrong fork. Okay. So, the Greek...
Do we need to put up a Fabro board?
No. Well, maybe, but not yet. Okay. So, the Greek government was hacked by the Turks. What do you think about, and there wasn't really a whole lot of information on this story. So this is one of these things probably that, unless Orty found something that I didn't, it's not a lot of info.
They're just still angry about, Istanbul, Constantinople thing.
I think it's one of those ongoing, kick you in the balls kind of.
And if you don't have They Might Be Giants stuck in your head right now, you have no soul.
Right. Absolutely. But the story initially came out like the 17th, and there's just not that much information out there on it at all. Now, we're talking about the government of Greece, and so they're, probably not sharing the information or just not talking about it. Did you find...
To bring everybody up to speed, what this is a group of Turkish hackers took down 5 Greek government websites. And this is in response to the Greek government picked up a man that they think was part of the 1985 TWA flight. God, I'm drawing a blank on it.
Yeah, I can't think of the number either.
Yeah, we think that
TWA flight 847. It's where they killed an American citizen on the plane, and they flew to Lebanon. And
the Hezbollah. It was the Hezbollah hijack. Now, I didn't see a news story that said that. That was like me speculating. I'm still speculating that that's kind of why they're mad. But
the Times of Israel article, they linked it heavily. They combined the two stories.
All right. So it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me. The Israelis think that too, and the Israelis know things.
And Orty was mentioning the 5 sites that were attacked, where the last story was kind of like the sites no one knows. These were actually kind of interesting sites that were hit.
Well, the National Intelligence Agency was hit. That's
the
huge.
Parliament site was hit. Mm-hmm. Foreign Ministry, the stock market, the finance ministry. That's not low-level targets. That's a pretty good hit.
Yeah, those are high. They're very high-level hits. You would think they were some of the most hardened targets in Greece, right?
Yeah. Well, given the austerity, right, everything else, and who knows. But the thing is that here's the funny thing: is that this arrest is a case of mistaken identity. It's not even the guy.
No, same name but different father, supposedly, right. And they let him go. So Greece,
similar name.
Greece let him go and said, sorry, mistaken identity. But they're obviously still mad about it because because they let him go in December and the Turks hit the site January. Well, the story came out January 17th.
Yeah, so it could have just been a late story on it, just slow to percolate into the water supply.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found interesting was that they had to wait for Germany's permission to release the guy. It's like everybody says this isn't the guy. No, we got to wait for Germany to say it's not the guy. It's not the guy.
What?
Germany wasn't even involved in a hijacking. It was the plane was hijacked in Egypt going to San Diego. What Germany's involvement in this completely baffled me.
Well, they indicted him, and I don't even know why the indictment came out of Germany either.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I don't really understand that either. But the indictment is out of Germany.
Does Germany have like an international court with the UN? Maybe that's why.
Yeah, that's usually The Hague, though, and
yeah, that should be the. I'm not absolutely sure about. I'm not 100% sure about that. So
yeah, it's generally a weird story though, and what makes it weird is, like you said, that Turkey is still attacking Greek websites over this.
Yeah, it's been almost a month since they let him go.
So
I believe. I think it was around December 23rd or something like that. I sent you guys that.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So it's been almost a month since they let him go, and they're, if the two are related, as the Israelis say, and the Israelis, like I said, they know things. So if those two things are related, then it's, that's pretty interesting. There's still, but, leave it to the Persians, Arabs, and Turks can hold on to butthurt longer than any other cultures on Earth. I mean, they hold grudges like nobody's business.
You think the Hatfield and McCoys held a grudge? Holy hell!
I know, right? They're actually still holding on to those grudges too.
I thought they reconciled. But anyway.
Well, no, they marry each other and stuff, I think. But that's a Tennessee thing. I don't really cross that border.
Imagine that Thanksgiving.
It's got to be fun, right? Yeah, I'm sure they still.
You know, you guys are hitting a little too close to home for me, right?
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so moving on, because there's still more boxes on the flow chart, right? And so, so if the flow chart says if the conversation starts to stray, then move to this next item. So the other thing that was confirmed and this is really interesting. The other thing that was confirmed that we had talked about last week was that the Russian hack of Burisma, I'd say at this point, 80 or 90% of the security information security community is no bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't just going with CrowdStrike anymore. It's Area 1 and a few other of the cybersecurity firms are coming forward and going, yeah, this was the GRU doing a phishing attack on Burisma.
Yeah, and everybody else is like, no, this is bullshit. So Area 1 was the company that wrote the report that supposedly found the hack, that reported it to begin with, and it came from the phish itself was reported by, I can't remember the name of the company, another company, and Area 1 took it and ran with it, right? So in one of the articles that I read, Threat Connect reported the phish itself, but don't get people. I know people are probably going to confuse this and blame Threat Connect for attributing it to Fancy Bear. They didn't. They reported the phish, and Area 1 took it and ran with it and ended up attributing it to Fancy Bear. But they
said that this follows the standards and practices of Fancy Bear's phishing ways. Fancy Bear fishes,
which is total crap, and I'll explain why. So the only thing that they have in their report that attributes this hack, that is basically it's an international incident on steroids. And I mean, it is. If you think about it, it's an international incident on steroids. And it's a 3-page report. If you take out the cover page and the introduction letter and the summary and the references, it's a 3-page report. And the only go ahead.
Just to give a parallel with this, the report we did 2 episodes ago, where we were talking about CrowdStrike and the threat assessment of 2019, was a 75-page report, and that was just a synopsis of what happened in 2019. Here's a 3-page report of a full phishing attack.
Right, FireEye's breakdown of what Fancy Bear's tools and techniques and methods actually are from 4 years ago, which they've evolved, but this was right before the election of 2016, is 45 pages. Yeah. So this report that they wrote that could cause a huge international incident and that the Democrats won't shut up about right now is 3 pages. So yeah, I'm a little bit like gobsmacked about the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of brevity as much as the next guy.
Right.
But this is, I mean, the whole summary is 2 of the 3 pages, and it's just, here's domains that they redirected to. And they're all, you know,
and that's
from subsidies of Burisma Holdings to phishing websites. And a phishing website, just so you understand what they did, this is something we warned you about in protecting you from you in the past, is like, okay, the legitimate domain for one of Burisma's holdings is cub-gas.com.ua, and we've mentioned country codes. The phish email campaign would get people to log into a cub-gas.com, no .ua.
Right.
So and anybody could buy that.
And you just hit on the reason that this report is so short is because the only indicator that this was Fancy Bear is because of the URL structure that they used matched one that Fancy Bear had used in the past.
Yes. And if I were to use an analogy of how, crappy the 3-page report is, it's like the Cliff Notes version of the Cliff Notes version of Lord of the Rings. It just says it's a story about a ring. End of the day.
I can tell you that. I can tell you this right now. As a student, if I did this, if I tried, one of my professors said, attribute this to the hacking group, tell me why you think it's them, and I said, well, same URL pattern. They'd be like, F. You need to find another. Maybe we can enroll you in another program. I mean, seriously.
We do have a remedial webpage design class on at the Adult Extension at 9 p.m. Does that work for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Once again, I'm feeling attacked here.
So.
Almost got a latte out of my nose.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, well, the URLs look the same, basically. Now, these URLs that Fancy Bear has used in the past have been published in reports in the past. So, we also talked about faking indicators on shows previously. This is the perfect indicator to fake because, number one, it's easy. You need absolutely no skill to do it.
True.
To register a domain. And they're out there. They're public. We know what they are. So it's a really easy and really the perfect indicator to fake to begin with. So it's like, I'm going to make this look like Russia.
It really would have given more credibility if they went into the registers. You know, who registered the site, and if they had said, if we could trace this to this, this to this, this to this, and we know that this is a shell company for the GRU, then I would,
But they didn't do that. Right, exactly. That would have been viable evidence, but they didn't
you know what
do
this
that.
reminds me of? And I'm going to step out of the IT world for an instant and into the alcohol field that I'm also familiar with. There are American companies that sell vodka to Russia to sell back to America, so people buy it thinking it's Russian. This is the same.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean, there's no depth to these reports. And for Forbes to report on this the way that they did,
Forbes actually, in their article, they actually said that there are questions in the community about the attribution, that a lot of people are doubting it. So I haven't seen that in every article. So I'll give props to Forbes about that.
It raised the question.
Well, I mean, they acknowledge that a lot of the community is calling bullshit on this. So but if you look at, before we go to the break, I just want to run through. So when Fancy Bear fishes a target, they don't fish a target to log into their email and peck through it for information. They fish a target to deliver malware. One of their number one things that they do, what they almost always do in their phishing emails is include a malware dropper. They are going to fish someone to drop malware so that they can pivot from that machine into the network. That is what Fancy Bear does. Yeah. That is not what this hack was.
No, that summed it up right. It's just someone trying to pretend to be someone else that they're not.
And doing a really bad job of it. Right? And this is why the community is going, yeah, no, we don't think so, because there's no mention of a malware dropper. There's no mention of any kind of infection. There's no mention of a pivot to the network. And there's no mention of any kind of data exfiltration. All of those things are things that Fancy Bear would have done had it actually been Fancy Bear.
Yep.
They even talk about it. They talk about it in the Forbes article, too, that in the past, APT28 Fancy Bear has used similar tactics, but they used the SharePoint domain, not the, they used the internal mail communications. They spoofed that rather than just trying to spoof the company website.
Yeah.
Because that's harder to do.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It is harder to do. So there's so many. I mean, we could probably sit here and go through just us, having very limited information. And so the information that's missing, that wasn't mentioned, that I'm going to assume they don't have, if Area 1 had done this investigation and found malware droppers and found a pivot to the network or data exfiltration or signs of any of these things, they would have reported it. They didn't. It's not in their report. If their report is indicative of what they have to prove that this is Fancy Bear, I'm going to go out on a limb and just call bullshit on the whole thing. This was not Russia. I don't know who it was. If it was a joke, it's not a funny one because, like I said, this is a potential international incident on steroids that includes Russia, the Ukraine, and the U.S., and interference in our elections.
Yep.
What do you think? What do you think about that?
This is.
I'll join you on the limb.
Yeah, as much as it would make for a nice, clean package for everybody involved, it's not. It's just not.
Yeah, it's just not. It's like, unless they have more evidence that they're going to publish later, they're going to match up some other kind of tool and technique, and especially the malware dropper, right? I mean, I combed through a lot of their exploits. I have not found one where they fished and didn't drop malware. So
yeah, because this was just fishing for passwords. And
the thing that Fancy Bear is known for is being very skilled, very talented, and very prolific at developing their own malware. And if you know anything about a developer mindset and a hacker culture, developers and hackers that do that, they use it. They don't develop malware to not use it. One other thing that I want to say about this is they also go straight at their targets. So if they had wanted to exploit the new president, they would have gone straight at his organization and not back-ended it through his former media company.
Right.
100% agreement.
Yeah, so that was the other thing that just does not match their MO at all. So, I don't know if you guys have anything else to add, or we can go to a break.
No, I think we can give it a break. I'm good.
I think you wrapped that up beautifully. So yeah.
I think I've adequately called bullshit on the whole thing.
Bullshit has been called.
Bullshit has been called. We're going to break. We'll be right back.
Looky here, got 'em all lined up. Same bitchy girls and boys. On their hands, on their knees, slither through the streets. Programmed to seek and destroy, and it all adds up. And it all adds up. Oh my, no one's on my side. Too paranoid to listen to me. You can cast me out, you can tape my mouth, but you can't get a stone to bleed. And it all adds up. And it all adds up. You know I love it when you say you're afraid.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Down the news slang, you can't keep all the money you stole. And it all adds up. And it all adds up. You know I love it when you say you're afraid. Don't you hate it when I'm making you shake? Make a truck from a goose, put a hit on the loose. Now you're counting on me making your day. There ain't no magic bullet, there's no cure for the weak. There's no sympathetic shoulder in a put you to sleep. You're a long, long way from where you thought you were.
Okay, we're back. So, I don't feel so bad about calling BS on that because most of the community agrees with us. So it's not like I'm saying the whole community is like whack. It's just these one bunch of idiots. So, Our next story is Joker malware. Lordy.
Yeah, this is another one of those protecting you from you things.
Right.
Google Store announced that they have removed 17,000 Android apps to date because it has been conduits for the Joker malware, also known as Bread, and the analysis of the code that what it is it hijacks your phone to the point where it will either text premium sites where you get billed from your phone company for your cell carrier for the charge, like the old 900 numbers, but with text messaging, or it takes your payment information on your phone and charges you either get charged by your phone carrier or your bank with those. But it's been infested in a ridiculous amount of apps. In fact, as of the time of this report, Google pulled up to 23 of them in a single day of apps that were infected with this malware.
Yeah, the numbers on this are just astronomical.
Yeah, it's really sneaky. In fact, it goes out of its way to hide itself in ways that reading this article, I was very surprised that they could get the malware to do on something simple as phone apps.
Yes. And you're talking about how frequent and numerous. Back in September, they removed 24 apps that had 472,000 installs. So that's actually more than just a little bit.
Yeah, that's 500,000.
Yeah, usually they're pretty good at catching them first, but even Google said, this one slipped by us because they were really tricky with putting this one in it, and it had nearly 500,000 installs before.
Yeah, it says it's really, really prolific at obfuscating itself. The developers are really prolific at obfuscation. And one thing that it does, which I thought was really interesting, is it'll use your phone number to pay for things in the Google Store. Or pay for things, and it'll show up on your phone bill.
Yes.
What I found interesting about this malware too is that it could bypass CAPTCHA. It would, if the image ones were like spot all the streetlights.
Yeah.
It would take it. It would upload the images to a server, to a command and control server. The server would parse the images and then send it back to defeat the CAPTCHA. Or it would rewrite the website so that way it would have its own CAPTCHA put in to bypass to give it a correct authentication code.
So let's relate this to things that we've talked about in the past. So, and that I just mentioned, right? So we talk about the level of skill with and the more skilled countries when it comes to their advanced persistent threats and their state-sponsored hackers, right? So this is China, U.S., Russia level, right? This is that level of skill and talent that Iran cannot get to, right?
Yeah, this is actually organized crime level, because it wouldn't. Also, it would be stealing your SMS text messages and quietly subscribing you to premium services.
I mean, you think about it. You see, every time there's a disaster around the world, not saying, I'm going to use an example, they're not guilty, but Red Cross, they'll say text following 5 digits to donate $10 on your next bill. They're basically utilizing it, from what I understand, that kind of language.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. It's that kind of thing where, if you're a criminal, right, you can set that up. You can set up a system where you're collecting money via SMS, and then you deliver the malware, and the malware sends you money off of everybody's phone via SMS. So it's
also disabling. It's disabling your text messages long enough to do that, so that way it doesn't appear in your text history. And it's also turning on and off your Wi-Fi, so that way it's not showing any record of this activity.
It's crazy.
So, and Mike in the chat, yes, I highly recommend getting Malwarebytes for your phone, and yeah. So this is what we always talk about: protect all your devices, because even no matter how secure you think your device is, there's always somebody better coming along.
Yeah, Malwarebytes runs really well on my Android that I have. So
mine as well.
Yeah, right. It does a really good job. And now Avast paid that does a really good job as well, but the free version, their free was not nearly as good, but Malwarebytes' free version is a really great option for Android, so highly recommend it.
If you don't mind it, reinstalling it every 14 days. That's because if you're getting the free version, you have to reinstall it every 14 days.
Well, that's it. I've never had to do that.
No, because you use Mac, not PC.
Okay. All right. I see you. You don't get all the options with Malwarebytes on the free versions. You don't get real-time protection and all of that. But I'm also that geek that pays for things because I want all the options.
See, there's two kinds of geeks. There's those who get it for free on Pirate Bay, and then there's those of us who pay for it. I always recommend.
Once again, I'm feeling attacked.
Right. Yeah, I was that geek that protecting you from yourself. I was that geek that maybe I may or may not have. I can't confirm or deny that I used to be that geek that would download things from sites like that. Too many malwares ago. Yeah.
I don't think I paid for a video game on my computer until 2010.
Right. You get enough malware from that crap. You get enough malware from that crap that you stop.
Yeah.
You stop one day. So, at any rate, the paid versions are better, but the free versions will do. Right? So, if you can't, that Malwarebytes has the best free version of all, in my opinion.
I would agree.
Yeah. If you use PC, you've got Windows Defender, and it's not bad, but you can't put it on your phone. So, get a malware.
Unless you have a Windows Phone, but that's only like 4 people. So,
right, unless you're one of those 4 people.
I'm not attacked on this one. I feel good.
That was great. Okay, well, let's talk about the Columbus Library a little bit. Which one of you guys want to take that?
I'm going to preface it, whoever's going to run with it, I'm going to preface it with, this is another protecting you from yourself. Actually, this is protecting you from your dumb HR people.
You take this one. I didn't get a chance to read up on this one yet.
Okay.
This is great.
So,
I was busy. Sorry.
The Columbus, Ohio Library District compromised the W-2 records of its whole, 450-member staff as they were phished.
No.
So, yeah. It starts to start with more than 75 librarians and other staff were stolen, and then it goes on to saying potentially more than 800. So, basically, this was just an HR member. She eventually resigned, but she clicked a link. Links are spoofy, and thought that it was an email from her supervisor asking for the W-2 records for 2017 of all the employees. The next day, she said a couple of the staff may have been compromised, and then a few days later, she admitted the entire staff was compromised.
Yeah, she sent W-2 information for basically their entire staff to someone who was impersonating her boss. She didn't think... Now, what the article said was this was a crazy request. Any HR person should have known that it wasn't legitimate because a boss would never ask for this information.
much less to have it transmitted over email.
Yes. That's more of a come to my office immediately.
I know this is where we need Stacy as a special guest to answer that question, which we didn't line that up, but the so there's that. But the other thing in the story that really killed me is that I think it was the administrator, one of the administrators for the library said, "Well, we're not sure that they're connected." So, so all these what was it, like 70-something librarians have had their identities stolen at this library. This
but
woman,
we're not sure it's connected.
But we're not sure it's connected.
Every one of them had a payday-style loan taken out at a bank, and the cash was withdrawn using Green Dot prepaid debit cards.
But we're not sure. But we're not sure it's connected.
But we're not sure it's connected. Yeah, this is again just as vigilant as you are with your information. It only takes one dumb person in HR to give somebody your W-2 information, including your address and your social security number.
Yep.
Now, fortunately, in the library district's defense, that they did give free credit monitoring to all the employees who were compromised, and they did help them fight any identity theft. So, but
you're right, and I always love that, right?
Yeah.
We made a dump. Yeah. We did something stupid. Your identity was stolen. We'll pay for your identity monitor, your credit monitoring at $30 a friggin' year for you. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's probably only 1 or 2 years they're doing it too.
Yeah.
It's a jelly of the month club gift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It totally is. Or if you're G,
she actually resigned. I'll give her credit for that too. She did resign. So, and I would probably too. If I did a dumb that bad in a no dumb zone, I would resign too.
Right. Yeah. Right, and HR is a no-dumb zone. HR should be a no-dumb zone. Anyone who has your social security number should be in a no-dumb zone.
Yes. Oh my God.
So that's our cringe story. That no matter how protected you think you are,
I'm glad I didn't know anything about this because this is just absolutely mind-numbing.
Yeah, and this actually, we had to go deep to get this story, too. This wasn't like something up in the top.
Did we?
Wow.
Yeah. There, it's funny. There's lots and lots of stuff going on, but the news was kind of scarce about talking about it, right? So it seems like, right, I think because there are laws being developed, and particularly the government is going through, they're rolling out this new compliance structure for military contractors, and those guys, I think, are really worried about what compliance is going to look like for that, because military contracts are worth so much money. And this compliance structure could really kick a lot of them out of the system. That's going to be really interesting.
Well, it's kind of, if you want to go back to what a pain in the ass it was last year for compliance with the new EU regulations regarding identity.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's everybody who had a website, especially a social media website or any form of chat or bulletin board or anything that allowed peer-to-peer communications, had to go through their website with a fine-tooth comb trying to make sure that they were in compliance with the EU. And I'm pretty sure military contractors are doing that as of right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's a really interesting thing, but yeah, It is, and again, to wear out the phrase, it is the GDPR on steroids, and it has more to do with like the hardening of servers and protection of data and things like that on the back end, and not what necessarily you're collecting and cookies that you're dropping and stuff like that on the front end, which the GDPR was about cookies and compliance and letting people know what you're collecting and the data you're collecting and all that. And this is all about back end hardening and data protection on the server side. So that's going to be really interesting, right? And
get your own library depository in order first before you start judging other people there, government.
Well, absolutely. Well, and this goes back to they're going to blame everything on the contractors, everything, right? So, well, that wasn't us. That was a contractor. Well, we've seen over the past year, especially like with healthcare providers, right? It's third party. The NordVPN hack. It was a third party, right? It was a rented server. Now, if you go onto the Nord website to choose a server, and I'm sorry, it's not Nord, it's another VPN that I use, but they'll tell you which ones are rented and which ones they own. And you can choose your servers by whether they're rented or owned by the VPN that you're using. So everybody wants to blame the third party for getting hacked.
Everyone wants to blame the contractor.
I know. You can't really blame them.
No, it wasn't us. It was this homebrew server we put in the bathroom. The people who made that compromised us.
Right. In the bathroom. I thought that bathroom server was perfectly safe. Turns out my contractor wasn't doing a good job with that server in the bathroom.
No, nobody can walk into my bathroom without me knowing it. I don't know. God.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, but we do appreciate the media letting us know that we were right about a couple of things last week. If anybody in the chat, I'll tell you one thing we'll do before we get off, because we wrapped up those conversations a little bit early. If anybody that's still in chat would like to hear about a certain country or a certain APT, I think we might pick up another advanced persistent threat next week.
Did you want to talk about the FBI seizing the domain data breach?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Kick that off.
Jeff, did you have a chance to get onto that one?
I did not. But
I did.
I know enough background stuff that I could probably understand.
So a couple of years ago, I believe it was Twitter was hacked, and this website was passed around on Twitter, and people were saying, check to see if you were, if they got your username and password. Check to see if they got your username and password. And the site is We Sell Linked Info. Is that right? I get the URL right?
No, the domain is We Leak Info, and it's what it is it's of the 10,000 breaches of various companies and websites. This site had coalesced and collated all that information on you to an easily searchable database, where if you were on any of these other 10,000 websites that had been breached, your username, your password, and if it was on multiple sites, they could probably piece together your entire identity, or a huge chunk of it, and they offered access for as little as $2.
Yep, but they sold it. Now there's the question. So when that happened on Twitter and people were passing around the site, I was like, how are they even getting away with this? So that was my first thought. So here we are, 2 years later? It was at least 2 years ago. Here we are 2 years later, and the FBI is finally seizing that site. Two 20-something-year-olds in Ireland.
Yeah, this is a joint operation between the Netherlands, Northern FBI, and some other agencies. Tracked these two kids down. I say kids, they're 22. And they're connected to the site, and I'm sure there'll be more people rolled on, because these are some significant charges. And if the FBI is asking for anybody with information on WeLeak Info to file a complaint.
Right. So if you found your data there, or if you paid for something and then
to find out if your data was breached, there is a website, haveibeenpawned.com.
PWNED?
PAWNED is in pawn, like pawn shop. Haveibeenpawned.com. And if your information's there, then file a complaint with the FBI.
Yeah. Yes, file a complaint if your information was on that site, definitely. If you've ever had any experience with this site, something that you feel might be significant.
I'm going to paste the article into the chat so that way people can get the links at the bottom of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Because this is kind of right. So, and I wasn't the only one. There are a lot of people that that I've talked to that have talked about this site for a long time, and how they get away with it. Why is it still up? Well, it was hosted on one of those servers in one of those countries that'll never take anything down, right? And they get used for all kind of nasty stuff like bestiality and child pornography and whatever, because they'll never take anything down.
It's the deep web stuff, man.
Right, exactly. And this site wasn't an onion site. So this wasn't it wasn't a darknet site.
No.
So, but it's like, why in the world it took them so long to do this? Because there's no telling how many other crimes it led to, how many, like you said, exposures of people or stolen identities or anything else that it led to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I have to laugh because I didn't know anything about this. So I went to the website and put in one of my old emails. And just for an example, I was breached on 11 different occasions with an old email address. And probably the biggest laugh was MySpace was one of them.
Still have that MySpace account, do you?
I guess.
Yeah. I don't think I ever did have a MySpace account.
I think I did. I think I was big into Mudhoney at the time.
Oh, yeah. Mudhoney.
But the question is, did you use Angel Fire?
No, never used Angel Fire.
No, I was a Cities guy.
Okay.
Never used Angel Fire, but I can tell you that it's come up on quite a few doxes that I've done. And really enlightened me into certain people's activities and things that they've done in the past. So I'll just put that out there.
I feel attacked again.
Yeah, no, it's not about you.
Okay.
I don't dox my friends. So yeah. Anyway, that's just an interesting little tidbit. So. All right, you can get us here every Monday night. You can catch me tomorrow night, every Tuesday, with producing LL and Aggie on A Pod Divided at 9 o'clock. And then at 9 p.m. on Wednesdays, I'm on the couch with the girls on the red wine here on KLRN. And I am out of Twitmo and back on Twitter at Cyber War, no S, podcast. Orty?
I've got juxtaposition at the end of the week with Rick, and I am also out of Twitmo, and you can find me as Orty Packard right there.
And Stoner?
Jeff?
I have never been in Twitmo. I suck. You can find me on Twitter, and on Friday I will hopefully be having an In the Crease episode where I'll be talking some D&D and Lord of the Rings, since Christopher Tolkien has just recently passed away.
Aww.
Fantastic.
All right. Okay, well, we're going to play our favorite song.
He passed away, but, you know.
Yeah.
Fantastic that you're doing a show. Jeez, Orty. All right, we are going to play our favorite song, or my favorite song, because I don't care what the guys like. And we're out of here. We will see you right back here next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being in chat. We love you guys.
Yeah, full of deep cuts right down to the marrow. But there's no doubt we'll get out from the bottom of the barrel. Oh, our flag is tattered and our bones are shattered, but it doesn't matter because we're moving forward. Round 'em up, let's go. Round 'em up,